What's up, y'all? Advance here. And man, was that a good fight card or what? Oh, alright, so UFC 280 is now in the books. And man, every single fight that was on that card was good. Like, oh man, like oh man. But so starting off, alright. Sean O'Malley. Oh man. Sean O'Malley. I say out of the 3 fights that was featured on that card, Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley was probably the most exciting fight. And I'm not taking anything away from the other fights. The other fights were great. But in terms of the back and forth, that was the greatest one. Because, like, just when you thought that Sean O'Malley was about to win the fight, Petr Yan flipped it on him. And then just that fast, Sean O'Malley flipped it back on Petr Yan. Now, I'll say that fight went all the way to decision. I think that was a little bit, the result might have been a little bit sketchy, but hey, that's why I don't judge fights. But I thought that Yan got it. I thought Yan would have won strictly on takedowns because he had a lot of takedowns. Now, O'Malley had a lot of escapes. So I don't know if that's what they if that's what they scored it with. But man, if it was me, I'm saying, like, because I know me personally from playing the game, I win. In UFC 3 and UFC 4, I win off of takedowns. So, oh man. But yeah. So, despite that though, it was still an exciting fight, man. They was fucking each other up completely, man. Like, I think, Yan got the Yan definitely caught the worst end of the beating because, like, his face was lumped up, he was leaking, and man. All right, so Sean O'Malley, I believe now is the number 1 contender. I think he's definitely in line to face Aljamain. Now, speaking of Aljamain. All right, man. So, Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. And all right, so all that talk about being D1, he was about to get finished in round 1. Maybe that's what he was trying to say. D1, leave the ROU in, leave that off, and just leave the D in the 1. Then finish filling the blanks like Hangman. Like, man, Aljamain was on his ass. He could have ended that fight way sooner than he did. But if he would have kept wailing on him, the ref would have stepped in. And this is 2 minutes, 2 minutes 40 seconds into the first round. So about halfway, little bit past halfway into the first round, like, Aljamain was on that motherfucker's head. Oh man. But yeah, he was on him. So all he would have to do was, if he would have kept wailing on him, then the ref would have eventually stepped in. But no, he wailed on him, then he choked him for a little bit. And he wailed on him, and he choked him. I was like, oh, he trying to punish him. Okay. Not what I would do. but yeah, like, all right, hey, to each his own. But yeah, Aljamain was easily the more dominant fighter, and the fight actually ended up getting stopped in round 2. So yeah, so it was the same thing, like takedown, mount, punch, and Aljamain just kept wailing on him and choking him and wailing on him. At one point, Dillashaw, actually, hold up, before I explain this, let me explain what happened in the first round. So the first round, when Aljamain took him down the first time, Dillashaw kind of landed awkwardly when he tried to brace himself. So he dislocated his shoulder. His shoulder popped out of socket. So of course that meant pretty much he was working with an arm and a half. Or really just one arm. But yeah, so that other arm he couldn't move. He couldn't move like that. So with that being the case, you know, he's fighting with one arm. So Aljamain just kept working on him and kept working on him. Now, fast forwarding back to where I was at in the second round, he just got on top of him and just kept wailing on him. And at some point, like, TJ just couldn't. He just couldn't defend. So he just balled up, covered his head, and just went. And the ref stepped in and stopped it. So yeah. Now, in the post fight, he explained that he actually dislocated his shoulder in training camp, and he told the ref ahead of time, and he said, like, hey, if my arm pops out, it's no big deal. Don't stop the fight. I want to keep going. So that explained, because we was wondering why, like, the ref, because he was caught in so many defenseless situations, and I'm like, all right, by now they would have stopped the fight. What is going on? So now we know why, because TJ asked him to give him a little bit more time. He asked him to take his request into consideration. Now, the ref's job is to protect the fighters, but at the same time, in a situation like this, I kind of get it, and that's some real shit. You know, like, 'cause he said, like, nah, like, I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. If my arm pops out, you know, I'm good. I can handle it. So in between rounds, they ended up putting it back in. But even still, even if you put it back in, it's still painful as fuck. So it's not gonna operate the same, you know. So like the announcers were saying, like, hey, maybe he should target his shoulder. No, fuck that shit. Aljamain did exactly what the fuck he was supposed to do. Stuck to his game plan, take him down, whale him. And now, one of the things that my buddy Mike pointed out, you know, him, Bama Slim, aka the Slim Reaper 256, he said that what he would have done was, when in the midst of the grappling, he would have hopped on the side of his good arm and started working that side, so that way he would have been forced to post on the messed up arm, and then that would have, like, further wore his stamina down. But yeah, I mean, in any case, that's what the result was. The result, Aljamain still won as a result of a knockout, and yeah, he retained his title. So now Aljamain has 2 flawless title defenses, and that pretty much knocks out that whole it puts to rest that whole DQ argument, where they were saying, like, the only way he won the title was on DQ. First off, when he came back in the title defense, he was fighting the same guy, thoroughly outclassed him, and then this was his second title defense, which would have technically been his first if he had won it, and he thoroughly outclassed that guy. But yeah, so now, man, so he was talking about moving up to featherweight, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Next, the main event, and this was the one that I think this is the one that everybody was looking at. Oh man, Charles Oliveira meeting Islam Makhachev. So the reason why this was so big is because Islam is Khabib Nurmagomedov's protege. So even though Khabib's not the lead trainer, like that's his protege, his trainer. They was on the same team or whatever. So when he retired, he took a step back and started training him. And man, that training showed today. Because once again, this fight ended in the second round. He choked him out. He choked Oliveira out. And like, what was crazy was there was this fight. No, there was this point in the fight. It was like me and Slim was looking at it, and he was like, "Yo, you in his corner? Oh man, it's over. It's over." I was like, "Oh, you already know." Like, Khabib about to start shouting instructions, and it was like you see him talking. You can see Khabib coaching. Islam. And I was like, here we go. Something bad about to happen. And he did one of the most beautiful headlock takedowns that I've ever seen. That's not what submitted him though. That was in round 1. But like in the second round, like he had Oliveira's arm up, like over his head like this. I said, "Oh, it's over. It's over." He locks that in. It's over. He about to tap, and I'll be damned. Oliveira tapped soon. Oh man, and he did exactly. Islam did exactly what. The first off, what was crazy was this is like the best like passing of the torch moment that I've ever seen in all of sports. Like Khabib, because if you know the story with Khabib retired 29-0 as the lightweight champion. So he vacated the title to retire. Khabib was the one that put the belt around Islam's waist. It's like, how proud does that make you as a teacher? To be able to take the belt that you just vacated and like put it around your protege's waist, man. Oh man, like, yo, that's some shit that'll make a thug cry. Yo. Like, oh my god, yo. But like, all jokes aside, man. All right, yeah. So, yo, Khabib is building a dynasty, yo. Well, actually, the dynasty was already there. He's just taking his step to further like cement it, because because it started with his father. They idolize his father over there, man. And yeah, like, so oh man, yeah, that was crazy though. But we're gonna see what's gonna happen next, because the next fight that they lined up with him was him and Alexander Volkanovski. So that's gonna be big. That's gonna be big. But in any case, post your comments down below. Did you see UFC 280? What did you think about it? What do you think about my take on it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm gonna holler at y'all later on the next one. I'm out.